Hi, my name is Kirsten and welcome to Clear Cut Cooking. Today I'm going to be making a red curry chicken, and I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs because I love the flavor of chicken thighs and dark meat. But if you prefer to use chicken breasts or beef, feel free to substitute with whatever you want. I love this recipe because it's so versatile and it's really, you can't mess it up. So it's great. It's a great comfort dish, or it's even better the next day to take as leftovers because the flavors only intensify. So what I'm going to do is I've got about 1.5 tablespoons of canola oil, and I've just got it in my frying pan here. And I'm just going to turn my oven on and let the pan get nice and hot. And while that's getting hot, I'm going to season my chicken thighs with salt and pepper. And it's important to season them quite well at this point because I'm going to brown them in the pan, and it'll lock in the salt and pepper when I brown them. So we'll just flip them over and get them seasoned well on both sides. And in the meantime, the oil is heating up nicely in the pan, so we're going to get a good sear. And the reason why you want to brown the chicken thighs first is because it just brings out the flavor, and it kind of, the fat in the meat caramelizes a little bit, and it just gives it a little more flavor to the dish. And now I'm just going to sear the chicken thighs, and the reason why I like to sear them first is because by searing it in a pan, you brown the meat and the fat caramelizes a bit, and it just gives the chicken that extra bit of flavor. So I've got my oil that's hot in the pan, and just want to hear that nice searing sound when you drop the chicken into the pan here. And you just want to let the chicken sear for about 30 seconds aside, and you don't want to move it. You want to just let it be, and then you'll just turn it over and we'll brown it on both sides. So I've left these in the pan. It's taken about a minute or so on each side, and they're ready to flip. So I'll flip a couple so you can see they kind of started to brown nicely, and so you get that nice caramelization on the meat. Okay, so they're caramelized enough and just on both sides, and so I'm just going to transfer them to a baking dish. We just want to line them up in the baking dish here. So I've set my chicken aside for now, and I've got the same pan that I used to brown the chicken in here. And what I've done is I've diced just a white onion, so it's about 1 cup of white onion diced in small cubes. And so I'm going to add that to the pan here. And I also have 2 cloves of garlic, which I'm going to crush and add to the onion mixture. And I'm going to use a bunch of fresh ginger. And if you don't have one of these, this is called a rasp. And you can buy it at most cooking stores, and it's actually, you can buy it at hardware stores as well. So it's just a really sharp, fine grater, and why I love it is because you don't have to peel the ginger to grate it. So I'm just going to actually grate my ginger right into my mixture here. And I want to grate about 1 tablespoon or so of ginger. You can really adjust these flavors to how you like it. If you like more garlic, add a little more garlic. If you like ginger, you can add a little more ginger. This recipe really isn't that specific. It's really catered to what your palate. So I've got my garlic, my ginger, and my onion in the pan. And I'm also going to use some lemongrass. And this is a whole stalk of lemongrass. So what I'm going to do is just peel off the outside stem and just cut off this, just a little bit of the root. You want to leave most of the root on though, because this kind of peels off and you want it to stay together because you want to be able to pull it out when you're done cooking. So I'm actually going to just take the bottom half of the lemongrass and I'm just going to kind of just make some cuts through it. And I'm going to add it to the mixture, just whole like that. If you can't find lemongrass at the store, don't worry, you can go ahead and make this recipe without the lemongrass, or sometimes you can actually buy it in the squeezable tubes. And the final ingredient for this portion is the curry. And I'm using 3 teaspoons of red curry. And you can really adjust this to how spicy you like the curry. If you like it more spicy, you can add more. And you can always start out with less and add more later. And this is just a red curry paste that you can buy in the Thai section of the grocery store. Might actually just use a little less to start off here. So we're just going to saute all these ingredients together and let the aromas kind of marry together, and we'll continue on with the sauce. So I'm just letting all of these ingredients mix together, and the heat really brings out the flavor in the curry, and by heating the onions and garlic, you're also bringing out the essential oils and flavors. So we're just going to saute them a little bit first, and then it's the key ingredient to the curry, the coconut milk. Okay, so this has just been sauteing for a minute or two now, and I've got about 2 cups of coconut milk, and I'm using the light coconut milk just because I'm concerned about health a little bit, but if you want to go all out and have a decadent curry, then you can buy the regular coconut milk. So we're just going to add this to the mixture. And then finally, about 3 tablespoons of fish sauce. And I'm just going to estimate. This is how simple this recipe is. And what fish sauce is, it's actually fermented fish. And when you smell it in the jar, it doesn't smell very appealing, but believe me, once you add it to something like a curry, it makes an amazing difference in the flavor. And if you're a little afraid about trying it, I really encourage you to try it, because once it's mixed in with all of these other ingredients, it's just a little added flavor that makes a big difference in the end. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to let this simmer on low, and I want it just to thicken a bit. And I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh cilantro that I've just chopped up here quickly. So I've put the oven on low, and I'm going to let this simmer probably for about 10 to 15 minutes, and the sauce will thicken and the flavors will all come together nicely. And then what we'll do is I'll put it on top of the chicken and we'll bake it in the oven for about 30 minutes, and the chicken will be tender and succulent and falling apart.